Hi, welcome to This Week at Little Hills. I'm Melanie, and this week we are starting a three-part series on worship. We're going to take a look at why we should worship, what worship even is in the Bible, and how we should worship. So this week we're going to start with talking about why worship is even important. Why are we talking about this? Is worship the Christian music industry? Is it chart-topping songs, no matter who they're by or what their affiliation is? Is it charismatic personalities in these mega churches wearing skinny jeans and just influencing people? And or is it the opposite? Is it traditional hymns played on an organ, the songs that we grew up with, sung in cathedrals with stained glass? So we're going to take a look at all these things. Why is it important? Well, 68%, according to a Gallup poll, 68% of Americans have listened to Christian music in the last 30 days, which is significant because, that's a higher percentage than we might have expected with the current climate. Is Christian music, is it songs about God? Is it all music that's made by Christians? Does it even require a Christian to sing it? So in this series, we're going to take a look at why it's important. This week, we're looking at why we need to wrestle with this, why it's an important question to ask. First of all, it's built in our natures to worship. And why is that? Why do we need to worship God in particular? The first reason to worship God is because He is holy. And worship is a natural response to God's attributes. And in Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 through 4, it reads, "In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one called to another and said, 'Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory.' And the foundations of the threshold shook at the voice of him who called, and the house was filled with smoke. And I said, 'Woe is me, for I am lost, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips, for my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts.'" Now, these verses illustrate the holiness of God. The angels can't even look directly at God. They cover their eyes in his presence. Moses in the Bible, he was glowing. His face was glowing. The Israelites had to ask him to wear a veil because he just caught a brief glimpse of God's glory passing by. And so the holiness of God is something that's beyond our comprehension. The highest expression of feeling, of art, of music, the highest thing we can produce doesn't even begin to touch the majesty and the glory of God. But music is a gift that he's given us to express our feelings in just a different way from just speaking. And we worship because he's holy, and that is a way that he has given us to worship. We worship also because of his steadfast sacrificial love for us. This holy God, creator and king of the universe, all-powerful, set aside his throne and became one of us. He lowered himself and he gave his own life for us. And as it says in John 15:13, "Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends." So this attribute of God that makes it appropriate that we should sing to him is that he loves us enough to become one of us. It's mind-boggling, and we can't fully grasp the depth of this sacrifice. We worship because he loves us, and that is the way that we respond to his love. Next, we worship because God tells us to. Hallelujah, the word hallelujah that we see so often in the Bible, it literally means praise Yahweh. And we're told many times to worship the Lord. One time is in 1 Chronicles 16, where it says, "Ascribe to the Lord the glory due his name. Bring an offering and come before him. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness, the splendor of holiness. Tremble before him, all the earth." And lastly, we worship because we're made to worship. We naturally worship lots of things. For example, I recently became aware of this term called stan, and it means like an extreme fan of somebody or something. And some examples of that are, if you've seen the old footage of women just screaming and crying over the Beatles. Recently, a reporter criticized Taylor Swift, and she received an inbox full of death threats. We naturally look up to people, things, ideas. We're made to worship. This is just how we are made as humans. But some of the benefits to us of worshiping the Lord, who's the only one worthy of it, is that it focuses us on the truth. It brings us joy. It's our weapon to use against the untruths of the enemy. It's also an offering that we can offer to him, like a sacrifice of praise, as it mentions in Hebrews 13. It's an expression of thankfulness for what he's done for us. And it also connects us with each other as we worship corporately and we sing together. So we're going to pause right here for this week, and we will be back next week with talking more about what worship is and its role in the Bible. And I hope that you'll come back to join us. Also, we have Sunday evening services at 5:30, and be sure and catch Steadfast also online on Mondays at 7. Thank you very much. Have a blessed week.